Bonjour mesdames et messieurs, my name is Serge Ramelli, I'm a French photographer living in Paris and welcome to episode 11 of my photography, Lightroom and Photoshop tips. Last week we did a composite. We took this horse, that was already a very nice horse, and then we added the sky, and that's the final result. In this last week episode we looked also how to make extractions in Photoshop, which is really the basis of compositing. So if you have not seen it, please check it out. This week we are going to continue on the composites and we are going to go on to Hollywood style movie posters. I have been wondering for many weeks and months actually how to do this Hollywood look that you see in many of the blockbuster movies, you know, this sort of like grainy draw paint look that you have on movie posters. And I think I figured out a way to do it. I don't know if it's the official way to do it, but it's a way that works. Now the thing is that it's a bit of a long technique, so it's going to be a two-part episode. And the first episode is already pretty long, it's about half an hour long. So basically what we're going to do in the first episode is we're going to learn how to do portrait retouching, because we need to have a very clean skin to be able to do this Hollywood technique. So that's the final result of what you will be getting after the two episodes. And in today's episode, we're only going to look at how to retouch the skin. But it's a very important episode because you can use that for any skin retouching, really, not just to make Hollywood posters. So I say let's get to it and let me show you how we do this.
Bonjour mesdames et messieurs. So today we are going to do a tutorial on doing movie posters in Hollywood. I have been looking for months for a way to do this graphic, draw, painting type of look that you see on most Hollywood movie posters, especially blockbusters. I kind of like the look a lot. And I've tried different techniques, and I'll show you one technique today, actually today and next week. This is going to be a two-part series that I think works fine. I don't know if that's what Hollywood looks, but uses, but I like it. So this is a bit the final result we're going to go for. You see how this is like looks like a bit of a drawing, a mixed up between photo and drawing. And today we're going to start with the preparing our portraits before we give it this Hollywood look. And it takes a bit of preparation. The whole trick is to do the preparation first. So to start with, I just have a raw file with a character that I took in a studio with just a simple flash. So I'm going to open this in Camera Raw. This is just a raw file without any retouching. So it's just, I think I had two flashes, one on the left, one on the right, pretty soft light. And I'm going to do some basic retouching on it. What I'm going to do is open up a bit the shadows so that we see a bit more. I made a bit of a mistake when I took this photo, because when I took this photo, I took it on a gray background, and I should have taken it on a white background. It would have make it easier for the extraction a bit later on, but that's okay. I'm going to bring up the exposure a little bit. I'm going to bring up the clarity. So clarity is going to give more contrast between the jacket and the background. It's going to make it easier for extraction. Maybe warm up a little bit the colors for his skin, make it a bit warmer. And then I'm going to zoom in by taking the zoom tool. And I'm going to see the shadow on his face is a bit too strong. Let me zoom a bit out. Is a bit too strong. I want to make this a bit smaller. Oops, sorry. So for this, I'm going to take a brush like this. I'm going to click on plus on the exposure. Everything in Camera Raw is going to go to 0 except the exposure. I'm going to make the size a bit. Let me see. Make the size a bit smaller of the brush, something like this. And I'm going to paint on the shadows just to open up a bit the shadows. This is a bit much, but then I'm going to lower the size a bit of the brush and do it on his eyes a little bit. For now, I'm doing it a bit too strong. Then I'm going to tone it down. I just want to make sure that I don't get too strong shadows, because the process we're going to do a bit later on is going to make make a lot more contrast on the face. So it needs a good preparation. So I'm going to lower down the value of the brush to about plus 0.25. So this is the before, that's the after. It's just a bit less shadow on it. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is click on the hand to go back. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit, and I'm going to take out some noise. Now that's a very important step, because what we're going to be using later on is a plugin from Topaz called Detail 2 to make this sort of drawy look. And that's, if you have noise in your photo, it's going to make it even more. So you go to the third panel and you just put the noise reduction around yeah, something like 20 or 25. It's good to take out noise, because we are not going for a realistic look. We are really going for a drawy look. So taking out noise is going to blur a bit the photo and take out all the noise, and that's very important. Okay, and that's basically it. You know, there was very small adjustments in camera, but which are vital for the results we're going for. So now I'm going to click on Open Image. It's going to open up the image in Photoshop. And I'm going to do a full cleanup of the skin, which is the usual cleanup I do when I take portraits. And it's a 3-step cleanup. Step number 1, I duplicate the background, and I'm going to use the spot hitting brush tool. Let me zoom in even more on his skin. I'm going to use a spot hitting brush tool to take out all the little problems on the skin that the person might have. So, you know, things like this. You know, with a spot hitting brush, you just click and it takes it out. Make sure your brush is not too big, and it works pretty fine, and it works fast. So, as I said, you know, we need to do a full skin cleanup, you know, with good soap before we go for our Hollywood look. So, the third step is to take out all these little skin troubles, and I don't know how you call this in English, all this little thing on the skin, but you know what I mean. Okay, and so it takes a bit of time, you know, but it's important to do it right, and it's not needed. Oh, you see, now when you have something like this, I just pressed here and it went dark. You know, it added a spot instead of taking the spot out. So I Command Z the thing. And when you have that, the reason it's doing that is because my brush is too big. So first I'm going to make my brush a bit smaller. And also when you click on the spot, if it makes something dark instead of taking it out, is because you are close to something which is a bit dark. So then you have to use another tool, which is the healing brush tool instead of the spot healing brush tool. And the difference with the healing brush is that you can press the Option key on the Mac or the Alt key on Windows on a clean area like this, and force Photoshop to use this part to be the source for cleaning up the skin. Usually it makes better result when it's close to something which is dark. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I show you the before and after of my first step. First step was taking out, you know, all these little blemishes and spots on the face. Okay, maybe here there is a little blemish. Let's see if we can take this out. Not sure that's going to work. No, it doesn't work. So I'm going to Command Z. I'm going to use another tool, which is our second step. So the second step, before we go on the second step, I'm going to merge these two layers. For this, I select them and I go into Layers, Merge Layer, because I'm happy with the first step. Now I'm going to reduplicate the layer so I can show you the before and after. And the second step is using another tool from this area, which is called the Patch tool. And basically what I want to do is the Patch tool enables you to clean up bigger areas. For example, under the eyes, the shadows are way too strong. So I'm going to select the shadows under the eyes like this. And I'm going to make them go a bit down. And I'm going to drop it. Now it's going to make something weird at first. But then, before you do anything else, you go into Edit, Fade Patch Selection. Or you see the shortcut is Shift Command F. I believe on Windows is Shift Control F. So then you have this fade windows that opens, and the whole idea is to use an opacity of about 15%. What this does, it fades away the last adjustment you did on your mouse. So I click OK. Now let me press Command D to unselect, and I show you the before and after. See how the shadows is a bit better under his eyes. And the fade part is very important. Now here this shadow is a bit strong. So same thing, I'm going to select it, put it onto a clean area, and then I'm going to press Command Shift F like I showed you. The fade window opens up and I'm going to go about 20%. See how at 0% nothing has been done, and as you go up, the area is going to clean up a little bit more and a bit more. You know, so you find an area, like usually it's around 20 or 30%. You click OK, then Command D. And then I'm going to keep on doing this. There's a bit of a red thing here on his nose. Okay, Command Shift F. And about 20%. Okay. See if I can do something about the eyes here. I'm going to take this. This is a bit too strong. I mean, I like the, you know, the mood of the portrait because it goes with the movie I want to do, the movie poster I want to do. So Command Shift F, around 10%. See if it did. That's 0. That's 10. Okay, I think 14% is enough. All right, let's see if I can do something about that spot, specifically that spot, which is a bit strong. Command Shift F. Oops, Command Shift F, yeah. 20% maybe. Let's see at 0. It takes a bit of time, but that's how I retouch my portraits. I try to go for a natural look on the portraits, you know, clean skin, but not porcelain skin, you know, not too much retouch. You know, we still need to have the personality of the person. But, you know, blemishes and spots are not needed on photos, you know, and the DSLR today, they take such strong photos, you know, such powerful photos that, yeah, this one I'm going to go at 52%. So every time I'm pressing Command Shift F, once I'm done using the patch tool. What else can we do on this? It's pretty cool. I show you the before and after. That's the before and the after. See how I sort of clean up the skin even more? Yeah, let me do this one here. It's a bit strong. The shadow on his nose is a bit strong. So I'm going to put it here. Command Shift F and maybe 20%, 26%, 21. Okay, 21, that's my last price. All right. So before, after, before, after. Okay, here there's a bit of a red spot here. Command Shift F. When you drag and drop it and you think it did a good result, then go for 50% instead of 20. It should be fine. So before, after. See how it opened up the shadows even more and it made the skin even a bit nicer. Okay, there's a bit of blemish I forgot here. So I'm going to take back the spot hitting brush and go here, here, here. And you don't need to clean up everything. And this technique, this sort of Hollywood portrait, works better on men than it does on women because at the end we're going to get a very edgy look. You know, that's the whole idea, very edgy look. Okay. Now, yeah, that's basically it. Okay, before, after. So that was step number 2. Step number 3, I'm going to merge this layer again. Or maybe not. I'm actually going to duplicate this layer so I can show you the before and after even more. Okay, now on this layer, the third step is a bit more complex, and I learned this from Scott Kelby and Calvin Hollywood, the guys at Kelby Media. I think it's for years I've been using Gaussian blur to blur the skin and make the skin a bit nicer. The problem with Gaussian blur is that the pore of the skin is going out. You know, the little holes in the skin. It makes like a very porcelain type of skin. You know, very plastic looking skin. I don't want that. So there's a trick. And it's a specific formula which is a bit complex. So listen to this. First step, you inverse the layer by pressing Command I or Control I on Windows. So you have a negative layer. Then that layer you put into vivid light. Okay. Now you get a whole gray area. Then you go into filter and you go into other high pass. High pass, I usually make it around 15 pixel. So then you get a less blurry picture, but still a very blurry picture. Okay? And the next step is, now one thing, let me undo this for a second. Before I'm going to do the high pass filter, I'll show you something. What you can do is right click on the layer and convert it to a smart object. What converting that object does to, let me call this actually skin smoothing. What you do when you have a layer that has been converted to a smart object, what happens is that when you do filter on it, like I'm going to do like filter, other high pass, okay, I keep it around 15, click on OK, what happens is that I can change the value afterwards. So for example, this 15 pixels value is valid for very high resolution file. On some lower resolution file, maybe you can use something like 5 or 8. The idea is to get a look a bit like this. You got to try it out. But having done a smart filter, I can just double click on the filter and change the value, put it around 3, for example, and it changes the photo, or put it back to 15 like it used to be. Let me put in 15. You know, it's non-destructive. You can change your filter's value afterwards. So then we're going to do another filter now, which is the blur, Gaussian blur. Now the funny thing is that when you do a blur on a negative inverted layer, it does the opposite of the blur. It makes the photo sharper. But I'm going to do it around 5 pixels about. See, look at the skin, how it does. Somehow the skin is, you know, it's a bit smoother, it's more unified, but you still have the pores, okay? So try different value. I usually go around, 3, 4, 5. If you go more, you just get the photo back normally. So you want to go around 5 or something like this. Click OK. So now we have done this thing. So I repeat the step. First step, you invert the layer. You put it in vivid light. You do the high pass around 15 pixels, and then you do the Gaussian blur around 5 pixels. Okay, once you've done that, you press the Option key and the mask key here, and that's going to create a black mask. Black mask means nothing is going through. This layer is totally invisible. Now I'm going to put white as my foreground color. Okay, make this a little bigger. Make my brush a little bigger, make my brush opacity around 50%, and then I'm going to brush over his skin. I'm going to brush over his skin, and I'm trying to avoid, you know, like the borders of his face. I'm going to try to avoid the lips, you know. I'm just going for his skin and nothing else in the skin. And what it's going to do, it's going to slightly unify the skin. Now you have the feeling that it doesn't do much, but I'll show you the before and after, and you will see that there is a change. There is quite a change actually, and on the skin. So let me finish this. Maybe a bit on the eyes here. I think it's going to do something all right on the eyes and here also. Just here. Okay. Now let me show you the before and after of this last step. Seems that nothing happened, but check this out. Before, after. See how it unified the skin a lot? Now it's a bit too much, so I'm going to lower the opacity of the layer to about 60%. But check it out, before, after. It just made the skin even more clean, basically. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extract this gentleman. So now that I'm done with this technique, I'm basically going to go into layers and flatten image. I just want one layer with, you know, just a clean skin. And so I'm going to extract him using the quick selection tool. So I'm going to make this tool a bit bigger. And this is a challenge to extract, because you will see we will have some troubles that needs to be corrected. So that's one of the things I want to learn you today. So basically the way I use the extract tool is I just paint over his body real fast, you know, make a first very, very fast selection. And then I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to refine that selection a little bit, but I'm going to zoom in hard. So, okay, now when you have a hole like this, and so I only want to select my character, I don't want to select this. You press the Alt key, let me make this a bit smaller, you press the Alt key and you unselect this part. I just want the hand to be selected. So I keep on doing that. I select, oh, let me zoom out. Something went wrong, you see it selected everything now. Another technique you can do is just press W to get the tool back, is you can unselect what's around the character. That's another way to go about it. So I can just quickly unselect. This actually goes faster. I should have done that the first place. I can just unselect anything around him. So now he's pretty much selected. So now I can zoom in and refine that selection. I press W to get my tool back from going to the zoom tool to the quick selection tool. Press Option on the Mac or Alt on Windows to go minus selection. Oh, Pum Z, I went a bit too far. I'm going to make this smaller. That happens sometimes. Oops, Command Z, sorry, I said in French. In French, command is Pum, means apple. Okay, I don't know why it's doing this. I don't want to select this. It's okay, that's fine. I'm going to unselect this and I'm going to reselect this. See if that works. Yeah, that works. Yeah, sometimes the selection tool is a bit, doing what he wants. But it's a great tool. Honestly, it's a really good tool. Okay, see, I managed. Oh, no, it doesn't want. Come on. Okay, now I did this. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom in and refine my selection. So W again, make this a bit smaller. Alt to unselect because I don't want to select this part. Make this a bit smaller. Oh, to make big or smaller, I just press Alt and Control on my keyboard, and I'm using I click on the left mouse button and I'm just dragging my mouse, and it's making any tool in Photoshop bigger or smaller. Brush tool, oops, Command Z, make this even smaller. Maybe just click here or just once. Sorry, with the Alt key, with the Option key. If you don't press the Option key, okay, it doesn't want. So I'm going to reselect this. Sometimes it's a two-step process. And if it doesn't want to do it, then forget it. We will, for example, this part I will do it with a brush, or I will do it with the Refine Edge tool. So that's okay. I'm just going to see if I can unselect that by pressing here and here. No. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to do this with the Refine Selection tool. I just want to, the whole idea of that quick selection is just make sure you did not forget something big. Like for example this I forgot. It's going to be a bit tricky because you see there is not much contrast between the background and this. It was really a mistake from me that I should have really put a white background, not a gray background like this. It was really a mistake because now I'm having a hell of a time to extract. But that's okay because a lot of people have trouble. There's a problem with this, but I'm going to correct this with a brush because there's just not enough contrast as a quick selection tool to work fine. Okay, now I just want to make sure for the hairs, I just want to make sure I have like a global selection. Doesn't matter if I don't have all the hairs, because in the Refine Edge tool we have a special tool for the hairs which is really good. So okay, so I just keep on going. I look everywhere for problems. Let's see if I can do something about this. So Alt, yeah, it seems to work. I keep on doing it until it doesn't work, and when it doesn't work I just drop it and correct it with another tool, which you will see a bit later on. Okay, that seems to work. So if it works, it's fine. If it doesn't work, you just press Command Z and I'll show you a way to fix that if it doesn't work with the quick selection tool. Okay, but it worked. This time it worked. Now this is not good, so I'm gonna make my brush a bit bigger. I'm gonna Alt erase it, Option erase it basically. Okay, tack. See if we can get the better result you get with a quick with a quick selection tool. The more time you spend on it, then it's going to be easier using the Refine Edge tool. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now I did roughly a good job with the quick selection tool. So now I'm gonna go for the Refine Edge tool. So I was on the zoom tool, so I have to press W to get it back. I click on the Refine Edge. Now on the Refine Edge tool, I usually go, you've got several views, margin ends, overlay, on black, on white. I'm basically going to use overlay to start with. The way overlay works is that, as I explained last week, your portrait, the selection is what you see normal, and what's unselected is red. So first thing, I'm going to make that tool a bit bigger, and I'm going to just, by default, you have this tool. It's called the Edge Detection tool, and I'm just going to paint just on the hairs and see what that does. It should get some little hairs back. Okay, okay, it did an okay job. It got some hairs back, but it also did some stuff which is a bit funky. So that's fine. Here, let's see if we can do something about that. You see this little gray area here? Oops. I'm going to take the tool back because I was on the zoom tool, make the tool a bit smaller. See if I can correct that. just paint on the little gray thing if it can correct it. Yeah, I did something, but not everywhere. I think we're gonna have to go with the brush tool, the last step, which is, yeah, here it did something right. This I'm not gonna take care of because, okay, once you've done that, make sure you don't use so much this tool because it can make funky stuff, like here, for example. Let me show you what I mean by funky stuff. You see, it makes a bit funky stuff. The red is too much on the body, but I'll show you how to correct that with a brush. Okay, once you've done that, very important, click the Smart Radius tool and make it about, maximum 1.5 pixel is good. What that's going to do, it's going to look at all the the whole borders of the body and just refine the selection very good. It really works well. Okay, so now if I look at my mask on black, for example, on black it works kind of okay. It seems like there is something funky in the hairs. Let's look it on white. Yeah, see how this is weird on the hairs, but there's only one way to correct that, and that's with a brush, and I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this, so I'm going to just click on Output to Selection. So basically it just makes a selection around my character, my portrait, and then I'm just going to press the Mask tool. And now the person is on the transparent background. So now you see what is white is selected, what is black is not selected. So to refine the hairs, for example, all I need is, well, first the white as a foreground color, a brush, B for brush, an opacity of about 100%, make the brush bigger, right click, make sure the hardness is at 0%, and then you just brush inside the hairs. Make sure you don't go outside like this because you're going to get some of this studio background back. So Command Z on this. Let me zoom in on the hairs, not that much, yeah, something like that. Press B to get my brush back, and I'm just inside the hairs just to make sure there is no transparency inside, which is important, especially on this part. Look at this, the tool sort of messed up all the hairs. Now the fact that here this is semi-transparent is alright. The reason why it's alright is because it's going to go on a dark background, so that it's going to mix up. Usually it's a two-step process. What I do is I first do it on a transparent background, and then I put my final background behind it, and then I decide if it works or if it doesn't work. But first thing I wanted to show you was this. Just take a white brush and paint inside the skull, basically. And now when you get close to this, put your brush in overlay mode, okay? And then don't go too far, but in overlay mode, you can go a bit further on the borders, and it's going to get more hairs back in without taking the studio lighting. So that's pretty cool. But inside you use normal, and when you get to the border, you use overlay. Okay, so let me get that brush back to normal. All right. So now that I have this, I'm going to put in my background, which I'm going to put the first person into. So I go back to bridge, and here you see I have a sky that I just took, it's a sky that I took just walking in the street. So I'm going to open up in the camera raw, and I'm going to make a few changes to it. I'm going to basically make it a bit more blue, because I want the persons to be a bit warmer and the background to be a bit more blue, and maybe add a bit of clarity to it to make it pop a bit more, and then just open up a bit the shadows because I think it's too dark on some parts, something like that. It's kind of cool. Oh, there is some spot, sensor spot on the sky, so let me take this out first with this tool. This is this little brush. It's called the spot removal tool, or make the radius a bit bigger. And here I have a spot. I think I took this photo with the Canon 5D Mark I, and the Canon 5D Mark I used to have a lot of spots, so that was a problem. Okay, so basically I'm done. So I'm going to open up the image, and I'm going to press the move tool, take my sky, and put it behind Arthur. His name is Arthur. Okay, I'm going to zoom out, press Command T for the sky, and I'm just going to look for something that I like in terms of yeah, in terms of look. No, that's maybe a bit strong. Yeah, I kind of like that. Make this like this and make this like this. Yeah, no, make this a bit bigger. The thing which is good about the sky is you can really do whatever you want. It really, you can move it around. You can, don't care about the ratio. Just make it look, good, like you like or whatever, something like this is kind of cool. Okay, so I press enter. And now I can zoom in and see if I've got something wrong with my my extraction. You see, it's not so bad. I have some troubles here. See, there's something weird here. So I click back on the layer, take back my brush, make it a bit bigger. And to take out, if you've got like fuzz stuff, around the hairs, to take it out, just go, instead of white, go black and go again overlay. And now you just brush here and make sure you don't go on the hairs, but just on anything that went around it. Something like this. Don't go on the hairs. And you see, it's not so bad. So now I can look here, for example. See, it's not on the background, it doesn't make such a big difference, but I can take my brush. I'm still in overlay. This time I'm pressing X to go back to white, and I'm going to brush on this. No, it doesn't work well on overlay, so I'm going to put it in normal mode. Okay, make sure the brush is small, and basically get some of the jacket back here. Okay, and press X when I'm outside and take out this little smear. Okay, here there's a little bit of a smear. I mean, nobody is ever going to notice that, but anyway. Here there's something weird also. So the brush, I'm going to make this black because I want the sky to appear here between the fingers. So it takes a bit of tweaking. You have to go in. Unless you shot on a white background and you did like a perfect selection. I could correct this, but honestly, I don't think anybody in the world is ever going to notice there's a bit of gray here, unless I do it. I think I'm going to leave it because this part is anyway going to be dark, so I'm not going to go for that either. This is going to go a bit darker. Okay, overall, I think I have a good selection, and the person is on the layer. I can move him around, by just selecting him and pressing the move tool. I'm going to put him here a bit like this. And that was the first step. Next week, we are going to continue this tutorial, but it's a bit long, so I wanted to do it over a 2 weeks period. Basically, the one thing I'm not going to show you is I'm going to take the second character, which is this one. And sorry, let me go back on bridge. This character here. And I'm going to do the same thing, the exact same technique. Clean up the skin, do the extraction, and put him on that background. And this is where we're going to start on from next week. So, okay, so that's it for this week. And before we leave, I just, as usual, want to show you my website. My website is photoserge.com. If you go here on the App Store, you will find some full training from me. Each training costs about $10 if you buy it on my website, or it costs $6 if you buy it for iPhone, iPad. The difference is the quality of the video. When you click here on the download training, you get better quality videos and you get the raw files right away. When you buy from the App Store, the quality of the video is a bit less, and also you can get the raw files, but it's a bit more complex process. So yeah, I have a lot of training on, that's my two latest training, panoramas and understanding photography basics. And this is how you can support this podcast. If you purchase this training, $10 is not that much, and I think you will learn a lot. I have great reviews on it, and I hope you like it. 2 more things. If you watch this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you can get it free every week. And also, if you can go on iTunes and make a little review on the podcast, it helps this podcast to be known. That'd be really lovely. Leave me a little note if you like it. Okay, thank you very much, and let's get back to the studio.
Okay guys, so I hope you liked that tutorial. It was a bit long, as I said. So in next week we will do the second part, where we really do the final composite and the Hollywood poster. So see you next week for the end of this episode.